ready. All right, folks. So thanks again. My name is Mike. I'm with ClearAdmit. ClearAdmit, a great resource site for all portions of the application process, whether you're at the beginning or the end. Most popular feature is probably our Livewire feed, where people are putting in their live admissions decisions as they're going through the process, many of whom just did that for round 2. So if you are one of those people and you just got an acceptance or waitlist, we're going to celebrate waitlists this year. It seems like waitlists were very popular with many schools. So we're going to be happy if you're on a waitlist because that means you're still in the game. So good stuff there. Check out clearadmit.com when you have a chance. But tonight is all about our panel of MBA students. How I like to start these sessions, just kind of go around in a circle here, have everybody introduce yourself, what school that you are attending, and maybe like a fun fact. I mean, I know that's not the question. I told our panel I would stick to the questions. And this is, I'm already breaking that rule. But it could be something super simple, you know, like you like to play the guitar or you took a cool trip somewhere. So I'm kind of giving you some hints as to what you can say. And to be fair, I'll say a fun fact as well. So I was the mascot for my college when I was in undergrad, Sacred Heart Pioneers. So cool stuff there. It's kind of a weirdo fun fact. And that is why I am Peppy and here hosting tonight. So with that, we'll kick it over to Derek. Derek, start us off. Which school you're attending, fun fact, and we'll go from there.
All right. Good evening, everyone, depending on where you're from. My name is Derek Ifree, first-year MBA student at University of Georgia, Terry College of Business, graduating in May 2024. Fun fact, not too sure which one to share, but I guess I would share this particular one. I traveled to 3 countries in Africa in a day by road. So I guess that's pretty much something I'm so proud of.
That is a big achievement.
And yeah, welcome, everyone.
Very nice. And that actually, yeah. So Vincent, based on what you were saying earlier, I think that segues right over to you. You can introduce yourself next.
Okay, cool. So Vincent, I'm at HEC Paris. So I'm in France at the moment. Originally from South Africa. And like Derek, or everyone here actually, I'm the class of 2024. Fun fact about myself, I play guitar. Does that count? Because that's what you gave me. But actually, the fact that I used is I used to do athletics, and I really, at some point, clocked just over 10 seconds for a 100-meter sprint. So I always like to say that I could have been Usain Bolt if I really chose that other route, but maybe in a different lifetime.
That's impressive. I do not do that. I could do 10 seconds of like sleeping probably in that time. Very good stuff. Julie, how about for you?
Sure. So Julie Miller, I'm actually a classmate of Derek's. So also graduating class of 2024 from the UGA Perry College of Business. Fun fact about me, I ride horses competitively.
Look at that. In the Olympics run, did you and Vincent go to the same trials for the Olympics? Or?
Definitely. I don't have the money or the time to go to the Olympics because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be here doing this if that was really my goal. Don't be all over the world showing.
Yeah, question. Not a cheap sport. We'll put it that way.
No.
So, yeah, no, not at all. Thank you very much. And for Nick, how about for you? Close us out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Mike, thanks for having us here. Really excited to be here. I guess sticking with the sports theme, I used to be an ultramarathon runner, but that was in a past life, and I definitely can't do that stuff anymore.
Wow, look at this. But let me clarify for everyone who's here. You can still pursue dreams in the MBA program, right? It's just not your athletic dreams anymore. It's just a different dream set. Yeah.
Yes. Different
different dreams, same goal, being successful. Okay. So awesome stuff. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate this. And just to jump right into it, right? So the first thing, we'll go way back to the beginning of where all of our journeys kind of started off here. MBA applications, right? So you all are in a program now, which means you have had to have put together a pretty solid application. So we'll start at the end. So since Nick, you kind of waited to introduce yourself last, you can kick us off with this first question of what is the one aspect of your MBA application that took you the longest to prepare?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And sorry, I don't know if I even mentioned I'm a first-year MBA candidate at Emory. Sorry if that snuck by. But the part that took me the longest really was getting a good GMAT score, or a GMAT score that I thought I needed to get. to get into the schools that I was looking at. And I think, not to go on too long about this, but in retrospect, maybe I could have gone about that a little bit differently and used some different resources instead of just focusing solely on self-studying materials. But it was definitely the GMAT. I mean, that took many months, but we finally got there.
Very nice. Did everyone here take a GMAT, a GRE, or waiver? Like, do we have any other GMAT test takers on the panel? Yes.
Yeah. I took the
Julie,
GMAT.
Derek, non-GMAT test takers?
I took the GMAT, didn't like my scores, and then took the GRE and did much better.
Okay.
And most programs now are, they're going to get rid of the GMAT. So most programs now are using the GRE. So if you're struggling with the GMAT, I can't recommend the GRE enough.
There you go. And Derek, how about for you?
Well, I got a waiver based on my work experience, so I didn't have to take all of that.
There you go. And so it's good to know because there's multiple pathways in GMAT, GRE. There are schools with waivers. Derek's in with a waiver. So, and you're all in great programs and it all works out. So I think the number one thing to come out of that as a response, and Nick, thanks for kicking this off, is like take whatever test you're good at. And if you're not good at tests or you have a great experience, there's other ways in the programs, right? So don't let that make you self-select out of the program you're interested in. You can still apply, you can still get into programs. Maybe you're switching the test like Julie did. There's a lot of options for you there, which may be queuing off the next question here of what's like a negative thing. And Julie, we'll start with you. There's a lot of negative information out there about MBA admissions and the process to get into schools. Is there any like negative thing that you heard, but it ended up being not true at all, or it's easily avoided?
To be honest, I actually didn't hear anything negative. I'm going to be really honest. I don't have this like negative horror story or something like I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, the essays are a lot. But I think, if that's the goal for you, I think that's the worst part, right? Is writing those essays and trying to make sure that they're genuine and clear and concise.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're applying to multiple schools, you end up feeling like you're writing the same essay every time. I wrote unique essays for every application. I didn't like copy and paste them in hoping for like a similar one. So I think that was like the closest thing to a negative experience about the application process. And it really wasn't that bad, right? Like if that's the hardest thing you're going to go through is writing essays, then I can't complain.
Sure. Yeah, that's not bad. Anybody has a, kind of a hurdle that they overcame throughout the process or something they may want to share? You don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to sort of like chime in now. I guess one myth that I sort of like had during like the admission process was like having a soap story sells. And granted, like the admissions committee enjoy compelling stories. However, it's also very important to craft stories that sort of like represent your authentic self. I think that most students tend to be in the position where they want to sell a pathetic story, which they assume would sort of like touch the emotions of the admissions committee. You don't need that. Essentially, you just need to tell your experience, sell yourself in the most authentic way. And I guess for me, getting through the program really helped sort of like shift that kind of like myth that I initially had in mind.
That's hard to do for a lot. I mean, it's hard to do for a lot of people, right? Talking about yourself and really digging back into your experience and digging into your accomplishments. Not a lot of people are very comfortable doing that stuff. And this is a very kind of open book type of a process. And so as Derek is mentioning, like the sooner that you're willing to do that, right? To really be introspective and share those stories and find the things that tell your story and not someone else's story. And, we see those posts on forums like ours that say, oh, share your essay with me and I'll write the same essay. That's what got you in. It's like, no, that's what got that person in. That's what they did. You didn't do that stuff,
Exactly.
So that's really good to hear. Awesome. Cool. So when it comes to program selection, right, and you're all in great schools, Vincent, we'll have you kick this one off. When you think back to when you were choosing the programs, either that you wanted to apply to or eventually, choosing HEC Paris, what were the main factors you really considered that kind of put you towards the direction that you're in?
So I'd say, like, first and foremost, this was a dream of mine personally. Being in Europe, like, it was a very big factor for me. So like the the Europe narrative really guided to a big extent which pool of universities or business schools I'd be choosing from. So that was like criteria number one. And then based on that, the second piece was like around what are the best business schools there? Like it was just like from a rankings perspective, like which schools really are actually deemed to be the best. But I think later on, just throughout my whole research process or the journey, it became something that I refined to be which schools did I feel like actually related to me more as a person? Because like it's a business school and you're gonna be paying a lot of money for it, but like you do really wanna come and enjoy the experience. You do wanna be within a community of people that really you feel like are to an extent like-minded and you're gonna learn a lot from, but you're gonna have a lot of fun with as well. So like throughout the process, one thing I would do is like obviously engage a lot with like current students. And in speaking with like the students here at HEC, it was just one of those things that really stood out for me, just how helpful they are, how like they're happy about it, like just smiling, they want to help you, they go the extra mile for me. That really stood out. And so like that was really second criterion, like what really stands out as some place where I know I would feel at home. And then lastly, I think something that really tied in as well was just like the program duration. Because I feel like 2 years I felt like was going to be too long. And so I actually just preferred this program because it was 16 months. It feels like 10 months is too short, which is what I found INSEAD to be. 2 years is too long, which is like where London Business School is at on that other side. And then HEC is somewhere in the middle. And so it actually just made sense in that regard as well. So yeah, that's how, like, that was my main criteria. No regrets whatsoever.
That's awesome. And yeah, I love your answer because you touch on so many different things. That's great. That's a really great story. Anybody else have other things to add to, not there's anything to add to Vincent's story, but any other different stories maybe, or other folks who, did you meet other students in the process? Is that something, like, raise of hands, is that something everybody got to do when choosing? I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. Yeah, so that was important. And Vincent, you mentioned rankings too. Did everyone use rankings of some sort at any given time? Okay. Was rankings, now I'm just curious, I'm just riffing off a little bit, but was rankings the ultimate decision point for any one of you? Like, did you pick the school that was highest ranked because it was the highest ranked?
No, I'll speak to it because I got into a few programs and I would say UGA was the worst ranked of the programs I got into. So even though it was a factor in why I applied to UGA, like when it was coming time to make my decision on where I wanted to go, it was about fit and like, where do I think I'm going to do the best? And not necessarily like, what is the best name to have on a resume going forward?
Yeah.
So that was more important to me.
Yeah. Just to sort of like add to what Julie said, when I was considering my MBA programs, I had three major factors that I considered, which was like a small class size, funding opportunities, and employment statistics. And I really wanted an intimate class experience. I wanted an opportunity where I could build really good connections with my classmates and with my professors on a personal level. And I knew that Terry obviously provided me that opportunity. And talk about funding opportunities as well. I wasn't ready to sort of like take huge sums of loans for my MBA. So I was very intentional about my school choices. And I guess that I decided to apply to schools where I knew I was going to get some good funding opportunities. And then finally, employment statistics. Getting an MBA is a huge investment. And obviously I had to critically think about my decisions, making sure I'm making the right trade-off. And one thing I did was to check the employment statistics of the school that I applied to. Are these places where it would enable me find opportunities in the kind of fields or industries that I really want to get into post my MBA? So pretty much these three factors were my major reasons why I decided to go with Terry.
Nick, take us home here. Yeah, what how about for you?
Yeah, so what everyone has already said is completely true, and it rings true for my experience as well. But the biggest factor for me was really the cultural fit, and what I did to sort of navigate that when I was looking at these different programs was to really just have as many conversations as I could with individuals, current students at these schools that I was looking at, and specifically current students in the clubs and that I was interested in pursuing. So I knew I wanted to pursue a career in finance. So really talking to people, student leadership and finance clubs from these different programs, and really just getting a taste and really seeing sort of how these folks ran their programs from the student perspective. And I think for me, that was most helpful, just having these conversations with the different people at the different schools.
A lot of great stuff. Did anybody find it difficult to reach current students at your schools? No.
Well, it was quite difficult for me reaching some students, especially, and I do understand sometimes it get a bit overwhelming for current student when lots of applicants are reaching out to you, trying to have a call. For me, the biggest factor was getting an opportunity to connect with the current student and also sort of like do a little bit of name drops during my MBA interview. So that was really my approach to that. But yeah, eventually I had a few people respond to me, and it was good to really have an interaction to learn about the culture and to also better understand the program offering.
I like how all four of you mentioned fit in different ways and forms and stuff, but I've worked in admissions. I've used the term fit a million times. People always told me it was a sales pitch, and now you're all students using the same term. So I appreciate you all for confirming that fit is very important, and it is an actual thing. It's not just a made up term. It is a true thing that helps you select your school. So let's see, now we're moving into kind of like, you're in the program now, right? So I know you're all kind of finishing out first year. Finals are yet? I mean, finals in business school are kind of papers.
May. We're in May for finals.
Got a month out still, right? Vincent,
Yeah.
you're on a different schedule, right? Did you have all that yet?
So we just finished our term 2. So I had exams last week for term 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So that's why you're so relaxed. You're already through all that. You can just hang. Yeah, you're good. Okay. So kind of towards the end of this kind of like, full year, 2 semesters through. Derek, we'll start with you on this one. What's been the favorite part for you of now being an MBA student, right? So got into the school, you're there. What's been the best thing?
Well, I guess I'll say my favorite part of the MBA experience has been the opportunity to sort of like connect with really good friends and make some really good connections from the program. I cannot emphasize enough the benefits of having friends from diverse countries. That really helps shape my thoughts as well, and also makes me more interculturally fluent. I wouldn't trade that for anything. I've made some really good friends that I wouldn't have imagined making back at my workplace where I was working. So definitely it's been an enormous opportunity to build some meaningful connections. And I believe that these relationships are going to be lifelong friendships.
That's awesome. And Julie's shaking her head. I'll skip to Julie on this one just because you're at the same school. So like, do you have that same thought?
I mean, definitely. Definitely met some really, really fantastic people. Probably some lifers in the friend group. But like, also, I'm just going to give like a big shout out to both my accounting professors. Probably like, I think it's made me love finance so much more, is taking their accounting classes. So for me, that's kind of, we're coming to a full year and I'm like, oh, turns out I love accounting because I have really great professors. So
still time to take more of their classes? Is that you're going to work those in next year?
Yeah, next year. They're probably going to be very upset that they didn't get rid of me. But they're going to be like, you're back? No. I'm going to be like, yeah.
Like, we made her like it too much. Vincent, how about for you? What's your favorite thing so far?
So 2 things come to mind actually. The first one is more around the events. Oh my goodness, I don't know how many events we have on this campus. Both social, both work related, and like I enjoy that. But like it's gonna touch on to what Derek was saying. So that we have like around 42 different nationalities in our current cohort right now. So like your exposure to different people all the way across the whole world has been something that has been highlight for me. And what's been even more of a highlight is like having like events where we actually celebrate like the different cultures, like the Chinese New Year, for example, or celebrating Diwali as like a cohort. Like things like that have just been amazing, where I sit and you get to see different people's cultures and their perspectives, and like everyone just dancing together towards that just makes me happy. So I'm big on relationships. I love people. So like that's why in those moments I feel my happiest. I'm just like, okay, the world can end now and I would be happy. Okay, maybe after I get a job, but no. And then the second thing is around, so HEC Paris has like what is called the MBA. So I'm not sure who here is familiar with it. It's basically the MBA tournament, and it's like the biggest European MBA, which is like 1,500 MBAs all coming together, and 3 days of absolute sport. It's like our own Olympics, basically. There's no horse racing, unfortunately, but like it's like it's around 30 different sports, and a lot of one of the biggest treats, actually just getting ready for what's going to be absolutely amazing. It's actually in a month's time from today. So I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. Next year, please come. This is like an advertisement, because we actually tried to get in some American schools this year. We managed to land 1 or 2. So next year I'm going to knock on Derek and Julie's door.
Yes, I would definitely come.
100%. It was actually
He's out here recruiting.
Yes, like the embed is actually a big factor for a lot of HEC students joining HEC as well, because of just like how big and amazing it is as an experience. So I'm excited.
Nick, for you, you can represent Emory here. What's your favorite thing?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely the employment opportunities. I thought I was in a decent position before coming to Emory to get a job that I thought would be nice and would pay well and everything. But then I got to business school and started talking to some of these companies and hearing about some of these roles and functions and access and opportunities. And it's really blown me away. And I think that's the case for all of us on this call. Seeing the opportunities that having an MBA provides you with, it's just really been incredible. And that's why for me, I wanted to get an MBA primarily, and it's good to see it ring true. And it's one thing to be on the side before business school when you're looking at all these employment statistic reports and all that, and that's very important. It's good, but then to actually experience, what that means as you're navigating the recruiting process for internships has really been and what was a lot of fun. So that's definitely it for me.
So, you know what? I'll stick with you on this next one then, because recruiting, right? It's a big aspect. It's a major reason why people go back to school. The career offices, right? The folks that are there to help you do these things. I know it's a crazy year, so I'm not going to pry too much, but generally speaking, how has your experience been with your career office? What kinds of services do they provide? Nick, you're mentioning that there's a lot of opportunities. Like, talk about that. Like, who's bringing those opportunities to you? Where are you finding them? Like, is there a posting board or something?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Emory, I mean, we have our own internal website that we can go to that has all the job postings that companies put on the website for Emory, students. And the Career Center has been incredibly helpful. So from before I even joined the program, I had reached out to the Career Management Center, their office, and was put in touch with a career coach, and she really helped me prepare my resume and go through some mock interviews. And that was really helpful even before I started the program. And then I got to Emory, and they really worked with me in terms of helping me develop my story and develop some good stories that I could use for these interviews. And has really been a huge benefit as I navigated this process, in addition to student run initiatives that have also been helpful in some of the professional clubs, as I mentioned, like the finance club. So the Career Management Center has been instrumental in the recruiting process this year. And yes, Mike, to your point, it has been a bit more difficult, I'd say, this year, but even still, the opportunities are far greater than what they would be without the MBA experience.
There you go. See, I like the silver lining aspect of that. That's very nice. And you are absolutely right. You have the resources behind you, and not everybody has that opportunity. So that's great. I'll come to you on this question, Vincent, at the end here. I want to hear from Derek or Julie first. If there's anything different over at Terry, in addition to some of the stuff that Nick said, anything you're seeing that you want to add here?
And this is about the Career Management Center, right?
Yeah.
Well, I would say my career management center has been really fantastic. And like he mentioned, they got us prepped way before we even joined the program, pretty much helping us revamp our resume. I also got the opportunity to sort of like take a Career 360 skills assessment, just to really help map out what kind of industries I would fit in, what kind of cultures I would thrive in, also sort of like pretty much helping me understand what kind of organizations I would like to work in. So that was really good. And when I got into the program, I also had the opportunity to take part in a pitch party where you pitch to second years and then they provide you with feedback based on the stories that you tell. So I thought that was really, really, really good. And obviously, we've got some good opportunities to get to meet employers as well, having employers who sort of like come into the program to recruit for students. We also have resources such as Handshake, where they would usually post some job opportunities and internship opportunities, just providing you all the service. And I'd like to say that the Career Management Center has an open door policy. So you always have an opportunity to go to them to help you craft your stories, prep you for interviews. So for me, I would say it has been really helpful for me, especially with regards to my recruiting journey.
Great. Julie, anything you wanted to add to that? No.
No, I mean, I think Nick and Derek have done a really good job of covering, Career Management Center. I mean, they've been really helpful. I think for me, like, I'm not old, but I am a bit older than a lot of people in this program. And so like there were some things that, I butted heads with on the Career Management Center, and basically they were like, hey, you know what's best for you and what you want to do, and we're going to give you the space to do that, which the argument is about LinkedIn. I don't have a good LinkedIn presence. I refuse to do it. So, like if that's the worst problem we have is that I won't make a proper LinkedIn, and they're just like, fine, that's your business. So.
But they're working with you on it, which is good.
They're working with me on it. I mean, they're still very complimentary of my LinkedIn without a professional picture and literally zero information. It just says the school I'm going to, but there's no information on me, no past work experience, no details. They don't like interact with people. And they're like, but you still have connections. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I just don't like it. I don't want to use it it's a powerful tool. I get it. It's just not for me. So that's our argument.
Fine. That's great. And what's funny is, so we did get a couple questions, and I'm not guessing anybody's age or anything like that, but you said you think you're on the older side of your cohort. That's fine. And you're mentioning that there are, there's a possibility for you to go to a program, right? We had the question, and again, I'm not assuming anyone's age. The question came in and said, does your university accept students older than 40 years old for your full-time program? So you don't have to say anybody's age that's in this room, but are there people in your program that are of that age or close to that age that are doing the program? And you can even just say like, yeah, we have somebody. Yes, Vincent saying we do. Nick does. Okay, so that question did come in, and is it possible? And Julie, from your story here of like, yeah, there's ways that you can craft a different experience in the career office because you have a different experience level. That makes a lot of sense. So that is a common question we do see come through. It was asked pre-submitted from our audience, so I want to make sure we got to that, and that's a good little segue to do it. So perfect. So Vincent, on your question for this for Career Center, you're in a little bit of a different schedule timeline, right? You mentioned the program's shorter. So what's different for you? Like what does your time frame look like for? Is there even an internship involved in your program? Is it really more now focused on placement at the end of the program? What would you say at this point at the HEC Paris program?
So the program has two intakes. We have a September intake, and then we have a January intake. And so the timelines are somewhat different. And I find it actually impacts like also the different industries that you're going into. So for example, consulting would be doing a lot of their recruiting around the December, January period. And so if you're coming into the program in January, you would have missed out on a lot of the things that the September crew has already been prepared on. We've all been casing together. So I find like the timing from an HEC perspective, I actually find that is quite important. But having said that, we all do get an opportunity to do your internship. So after the 8-month period, term 3 onwards, like June, June to August, which is like also the summer break. Basically, everyone can go on an internship if they want to do an internship. Yeah, like the career center like does try to follow the same program though on both sides. So you'll have a workshop around introduction to finance, introduction to tech, introduction to consulting. All cohorts will have the same thing. You'll still have the CV workshops. You'll still have the present your pitch. All the workshops are going to be there in between the two things. It's just that, like, unfortunately, externally, we don't control when the different companies are hiring. And so, like, yeah, there you may, like, what I find, and I found it actually quite inspiring, I'd say, some of our January people, because they got accepted last year, they were already somewhat preparing for the interviews while they had not even started the program. Like, that was just like, yeah, that is very much disciplined according to me. I would have been enjoying my December so much by the no lies.
That's awesome. So yeah, so a little bit of a different process, and it's good. Thank you for speaking about that, because not every MBA program is built the same, and so they're all great programs, but there's just different processes. So it's nice to hear that there's still those same opportunities, just at different stages, or depending on when you enter the program. You know, it's all there available to you. Let's see. So how about, like, you know, do you have any advice, like, as you are looking for these internships and interviewing and doing all these crazy things, right? Is there something, like a piece of advice that you'd have for folks thinking through that process, that you could give them at this stage? Again, we may have folks from way early on that are a year out still, or people that are going to enter their program in the next 3 to 4 months here. Any advice you would have? I don't know where we're at here with starting with somebody. So Julie, we'll go with you on this one. No, maybe not.
No. I think it's fine. We're fine.
Go for it.
I mean, I think for like the internship process, like the reality is they say it a lot, but you're always networking, right? You're always making connections. You never know when that like chance encounter, whether it's at a conference, you know, you're attending a guest speaker at your school. These are connections that you can make, and, you know, however you want to maintain those connections, right? Via LinkedIn, email, text. But these are all chances, whether it's for an internship or a full-time job offer, you have to always have your best foot forward, because people are going to remember you. If you make a good impression, they're going to remember you, and it's going to come back in a positive way, whether it's a job offer for like where they work, or maybe they know someone who's hiring and they can recommend you, put you in contact with those people because they remember you in a positive way.
It's a great point. You're always on, right? It's always, yeah. Even at this event, you got to be on right now. I had to get dressed tonight. I had my son's football practice, and here I am doing this. So yeah, you're always on. It's a great point. And what's interesting too is, I think a lot of folks, like you spoke to people on your way into the programs, right? So they were first year students, a lot of them, I would assume, while you were a prospect. And now those folks are second year students who may have just gone through internship. So those are still connections. I mean, we've heard on calls like this prior, people will get their internship from the person they met a year ago, because they'll take that person's internship like next year. So those connections really do start from day one, in certain cases. Anybody else want to add to this topic of, you know, kind of like internship process, even recruiting process, anything that you have like tips and tricks? Nick, I see you coming off mute there.
Yeah, I would just echo Julie. I think it's so important to just talk to as many people as possible across industries, across functions. If you have a specific interest, really just kind of nail that down and talk to these people and just have conversations. I think it's so important. And, you know, what I'm saying right now might seem obvious, but you will find yourself busy with coursework and other obligations during the semester, and that's all good as part of the program. But if you can just take a step back and remind yourself why you're there, and try to look ahead a few years where you want to be, and just remember that it's going to take networking, really, and it's going to take just having these conversations, because you never know what's going to open up from just a chat you have with someone on a Tuesday. It's really remarkable. So just keep having those conversations. That's my biggest piece of advice.
Good stuff. Derek, Vincent, anything you want to?
Yeah, I'm just going to add something. I'm just going to say that the internship recruiting process can be quite overwhelming in the initial stages. So what I would say, you need to put in a lot of work in research and the kind of companies that you would want to work in. And to Julie's point about building that connection as well. I mean, you can't only rely on that. You can also rely on your second years in your school. ask a lot of questions, leverage on your career management center, speak to people, be visible on LinkedIn as well. You never know, some of these opportunities always sort of like come up on LinkedIn. Career events in school, they are also very important if you're participating in them as well. There's usually employer of the day events. It is always good to take advantage of such opportunities. And like I mentioned, it can be very overwhelming initially. You're going to have a lot of rejections, but in the end, it gets better. That is what I have personally experienced, that you need to put in the work, but it's going to be a little bit of overwhelming, but it definitely gets better in the end.
Yeah, I think that's another, like, if we talk about things that we commonly see, right? FAQ type stuff, it's, tell me about the placement opportunity. It's like, okay, it sounds great. There's opportunities out there, but like, you have to do work to get it. Like, they don't just hand you a job at the end and say, like, here it is. You need to start getting the job. Like, you got to interview, you have to have a resume done, like all the stuff you've mentioned on this chat so far. That work continues. Like, you have to do all that to get into the program, then you continue that to get the next stage and then beyond. So yeah, that's all really great stuff. Vince, anything else? I know we touched on just about everybody here. Anything you wanted to throw in for that?
I think I'll just stress again the importance from my side of like the deadlines per industry. Like fundamentally, as an MBA student, you know what you want to do after the MBA, and I think it'd be a shame, like if I think of my January grads, like it'd be a shame to come into the program and realize, oh flip, I'm already 4 months behind in terms of like the recruitment process because it starts next month. So as part of your research, if you know you want to be doing consulting and you know you want to do an internship in say the June for us, then you really have to be working like from last year, December already before you even apply. So like being aware of like what you say you want to do in your essays and like what that those associated deadlines are is very important. Like know when tech is recruiting, know when consulting is recruiting, finance generally, like everyone who has like a continuous recruitment, those are fine. But for internships, like just know your cutoffs upfront. I think that's important.
Yeah, I completely agree with Vincent. And fortunately, for a lot of this, you don't have to do it in a vacuum. You can reach out to the folks at your school, career management center, the students who run the tech club, finance club, et cetera, and they can really help you. But you have to be talking to those people as well.
Agreed.
That's all great stuff. And so I think one thing, which is probably my fault, during introductions, I didn't have you all tell us what are you looking to get into. So Vincent, we'll stay with you. What do you want to do post MBA?
That is a beautiful question.
In under 10 seconds on the sprint, right? That's where we're gonna go back to that.
I was laughing because like it's so funny. Like most of us get here, we have an idea of what we want to do, and then you get here, the career team bombards you with 50 million options, and you're just like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. So like, it's interesting how many of us literally in the program came like, oh, I want to do consulting, and then you get here, and then you realize like, but wait, did you think about this or that? Because I knew it conceptually, but like when you are here, the MBA hits you with opportunities, actually, like beyond things that you really would have thought about. And I think I want to say this, like, because I know we are all business-minded people, we love what we do, but like we also have other passions. For example, I'm a football fanatic. I absolutely love football. And it's like, it's being here when you realize there's an event where there's like a football manager or director who's coming, where you realize, wait, I can actually work for Manchester United. Even though in my mind, I didn't necessarily think about that. Like you get here and there's that opportunity. So I generally want to do senior management. Like that's literally my main goal afterwards. So like getting into one of those management development programs has been like a goal that I'm setting my eyes on. But again, having said that, to my point, I literally last week got an interview with Bain that I did not expect. So now I'm like on the consulting side of things, trying to get my life in order there because I've not been casing for a while. Don't tell this to anyone. So it's like the MBA has opportunities everywhere, and it's more around like, you know what, don't be too fixated on one thing and then you lose out. That's been my approach. Even though I know what I want to do, I'm still open-minded to wherever opportunities actually land. I'll take it. As long as you're doing something that you actually utterly hate. That's important because you pay too much money to do something you hate.
Yeah, but that's great. I mean, it's nice you're taking the experience in stride. I mean, that is right? We said on the application side, you kind of have to be an open book and be introspective, talk about what you've done in the past. Now looking forward, it's like you thought you had one thing, but if you open up your mind a bit, like who knows? Maybe go work for Manchester United. I mean, you know, why not? My colleague would say Man City, so I don't know. I'm not involved. I get it. I'm not in the middle of all this, but he grew up in Manchester. He's a Man City guy, so I won't show him the video of this call. So
I don't like your colleague in advance.
That's good. It's probably going to be mutual. He was very excited this season. So anyways, I said I won't go down that road. So Derek, we'll go over to you on this one. So again, like post MBA, what's your plan? And I guess now, since Vincent made a great point, I'm going to change the question. What was your thought coming in, and what are you going to end up trying to do when you leave now? Has it changed?
So, I mean, my background is in HR. I've been working in this space for the past 7 years. So when I got into the program, I didn't want to really sort of like go far off from that, but I also wanted to explore something different. So I was thinking of finding opportunities around general management and leadership development programs. But now I think that I'm getting more interested in corporate strategy, even though my internship is going to be like in a general management role. I think that in the long term, that is an area that I definitely want to sort of like explore, because I find it pretty interesting. But yeah, for now, general management and HR leadership development programs.
Very nice. So Derek and Vincent may compete for some of those roles potentially in those rotational programs. We'll see. Julie, accounting, right? Is that you're going to go?
Well, I mean, I like my accounting classes. So I come from a private equity background. And so I was planning on going right back into the industry, but just moving up the ladder a lot faster than I would have where I was. Sure. But because I like accounting so much, my internship is doing corporate finance. So that's what I'm going to be doing this summer, is more like a very different part of the finance world. But I'm really excited about it. So I was always going to go finance. I just thought I was going to stay in like an industry that I'm really familiar with. And now I'm doing corporate finance. So
nice little pivot there. And I think for folks, as you get into the MBA process, and you already have the experience in the background, people say, I want to get into finance. They don't realize like finance is big. Like there's a lot of different finance. So it's great. Like you're even pivoting within finance. That's a big switch.
Right.
But it's still within finance. Like it's a totally different job. So that's pretty cool. So look at that. So your coursework kind of helped you, and professors helped you kind of carve a little bit of a new path. So hopefully that goes well with the internship. That'll be interesting. And Nick's going into finance as well, right? Is that, you're stuck with that, or are we switching?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I came from the military, and when I was doing all my applications and looking at schools, I wanted to pivot into consulting. And then I got in, and like a month later, I was like, I don't want to be a consultant. I want to do, something else. And so I set my mind to investment banking, and that's what I'm going to be doing this summer. So you really never know, and just keeping an open mind.
Another wing of finance. There we go. All the finance doors are open on this call. And thank you for your service in the military as well. Appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
And so let's see, I guess we're at that stage now where we can get into kind of like a nice little closing question. So I'll have you all answer, and I'll just go in a nice little circle here. But out of everything that you could provide as advice, right, to somebody who is going to enter an MBA program and jump in with 2 feet, right? What is the thing that you wish you knew if you were on this call a year ago, right? What's that thing that like you could have told yourself and it would have really helped you through this process? I'm looking at faces. Vincent's really in deep thought, so I'm going to wait on you because you're going to come up with something great. I can tell. Derek, you look like you had one right on the tip of your tongue. So I'm going to start with you, Derek. I think you have one ready to go.
Well, I was gonna say that, I mean, getting into the program, you will definitely experience some level of imposter syndrome. It wasn't something that I thought about, and people usually come into the program thinking they are smart, but you realize that there are so many other people who are smarter than you, and it's such a humbling experience. And it's okay to feel imposter syndrome. At least you are not the smartest person in the room, and it gives you a lot of opportunities to learn from others as well. So for me, that has been a really, really, really great sort of like learning moment for me, to really have an understanding of what it feels like to be in that space. You're definitely going to be challenged. You're definitely going to feel like you are not up to it, but that's just okay. You wouldn't have everybody on the same level, and it's a good opportunity for you to also learn from others. So once people are getting into the MBA program, I want them to have that at the back of their mind to say, when you come into the program and you feel like you are not enough, you are actually enough. Just that people are from different levels, and you need to sort of like appreciate that and then see how you can also learn from others. So having imposter syndrome is perfectly okay. You will definitely get through it.
It's part of that adjustment period, right? It's like, getting to class on time again and studying again. And it's like, just one of those things, like, you'll get through it. It'll be part of that early part of the process, and then you'll embrace it all. And learning from your classmates, I think that's another key thing that folks always talk about, like, what's the experience like in an MBA program? And it's a lot more like learning from each other than it is just having faculty talk down. For any of you who did business undergrad program and then you could jump to the MBA, it's a very different learning style. It's not being spoken at. It's more like, here's a topic and what do you got? And that's where your expertise in your field, it does come through. So that's great. That's awesome advice. And yes, you're definitely, you got into a program, right? So you got to be doing something right. You're not, maybe you're not the smartest in the room anymore, like you always were, but it's like you made it into an MBA program. Not everybody gets to do that. So obviously you do have huge worth, huge value, and you've accomplished many things. So it's good to always remember that. Let's see, Nick, I think we're going to go with you next. I'm going off of faces here, guys.
So it's easy to get kind of bogged down, whether you're in the application process and worrying about GMAT scores and resume and essays and all that, or if you're in the program and you're recruiting for an internship and you're worried about networking, et cetera. But I think something to be mindful of is that hopefully I'm speaking for everyone on this call who's in a program, but getting an MBA is a lot of fun too. I mean, there's a lot of socializing, a lot of, fun events that the school is going to put on, that employers are going to put on, whatever. You're going to meet a lot of people, form relationships you're going to have for the rest of your life. And for me, it's been an absolute blast. So don't forget about that too. I mean, I know you're coming or you're interested in business school for maybe employment or whatever, but it's also, it can be a lot of fun if you want it to be. So just don't forget about that and make sure you have fun too.
Take those little mini moments. There you go. That's good. Keep it fun. You're back in school, right? School's fun. It's a fun time of life. Everyone wants to stay young, stay in school. It's like, this is your chance to do it again. It's great.
Exactly. And this is the last time probably you're ever going to be in school. So take advantage of it. Yeah.
Good point. Until your company sends you for those exec ed courses. It's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah. Julie, we're going to go to you because I still see Vincent, like he's cooking up something great to close on. So I'm putting you on the spot, Vincent, but like, I have a good feeling. So Julie, you're up.
Yeah. I would just say, I think it kind of touches on like what Nick was just saying and what Derek is saying, but be kind to yourself. Like during the application process, you could be applying to one school, you could be applying to 10. It's just doing that is a lot of work. So, be kind to yourself there. And then once you get into a program, when you start these classes, you're going to be learning stuff that you don't know. Derek touched on it. Don't beat yourself up if your grades aren't perfect, right? Like, are you learning? Are you taking something away from the class? Like UGA has a pretty firm like pass policy, like a C is not considered a passing class in the MBA, but you can get a C on a test and still get the grade that you need to get to pass. And so like there are definitely moments, I was an overachiever in undergrad, and there were moments when I started this program where I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't get like 100 on this test. And, I'd go talk to the professor and he'd be like, you're learning, he's like, you're getting a good grade in this class. He's like, don't look at the number. Don't focus on that. What are you learning? What are you going to take away from this? So just like be a little gentle on yourself. You're back in school. You should be having fun. And are you learning, right? Are you growing as a person? That's really the goal. So be kind while you're applying. Don't beat yourself up when you get rejected. I'm sure all of us got rejected from schools. Just because we got in doesn't mean we didn't get rejected. And yeah, just be good to yourself.
I love it. It's a good message.
Yeah.
Vincent, let's hear it.
Firstly, I think I agree actually a lot with what Nick is saying. Like the MBA is so much fun. Like, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm a people's person. So like before I even came to the MBA, my thing was like, I need to make sure that I know as many people as possible. And like within our first month, I won the award for the person most likely to be at all parties. That was within my first month, not because I love parties, but because I actually love being where the people are, right? And so, like, I agree. Like, one thing I did not think about a lot when I was like applying for the MBA was like, yo, you're actually gonna be having a really good time where you're not working all the time. You can be with people. Like now, 3 a.m. I know randomly, but like someone can literally just knock on my door and we have a deep live chat for no reason, out of nowhere. Like it's really nice being in this place again. And I think secondly, like the other thing maybe that ties in for me is like, so when I like left my previous job, actually, I had not gotten into the MBA yet. And so like, I think this is more for the people really who are still stuck in between around like, is this something that I want to do or not? Like we always find ourselves holding on to like a corporate work, or actually we find ourselves holding on to comfort a lot. And so like for me, I had to push myself by leaving my job and saying, yo, I've been saying I want to do the MBA. I left my job before I actually had even applied for the MBA program here at HEC. It was one of those where I'm just like, yo, I'm going to take this leap of faith and I'm going to make it. Because I knew if I didn't leave, I was still going to stay enjoying the money that corporate gave me, which was not enough. But I was going to keep enjoying it anyway. So and I think for the people who are really still stuck and finding excuses not to take the leap, this is me just say like, you know what, if it's really important to you, don't keep putting it away because this life is short. It's just short.
I'll tell you what, you guys are so positive, all four of you, with the messaging here. I mean, you know, take that leap of faith, be kind to yourself in the process. You're going to get through it. You're not the only one who's walking into this program that feels a little bit like, maybe I'm not the best anymore. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here. But you know what, just like grin, bear, and have some fun. Like that's what you guys are saying. Like it's great. It's a great message. Hopefully folks that leave this call or watch this video recording afterwards, like that is the message. It's like you're going into this program. One person always told me when I was recruiting, I worked in admissions at a few schools. They said, you don't have to feel like a salesperson when you're pitching going back to school because it's a noble good. Like you can only better yourself by going back to school, getting more education, getting more networking, meeting more people. Like it'll only benefit folks. And I've always taken that. It was like one tidbit. The rest of the stuff that person said was a little bit crazy, but that was one tidbit that I was like, that's a great point. Like it is always something that can always benefit somebody going back to school, taking classes, learning more, bettering themselves. And you four all are embracing that wholeheartedly. So it's really cool to hear. And I'm sure, you know, if your admissions folks heard these stories today, I'm sure they would love the fact that that you guys are having such a great time in your program. So I think that's a great place to end tonight. I mean, it's a really nice way to kind of leave this session. Lots of really great stuff that you all discussed. I appreciate all of your time and energy to discuss all these great things. I know folks on the call will definitely appreciate that. And you know, stay tuned. If we have some more things to discuss, we'll call you back up and get you back together on another call because I think this was great. For those on the call or those again listening to the video later on, all four of these folks on the call tonight are profiled on our site. So when you go check out the video, we will have the links to their write-ups and their articles on our site. So you can read more about their background, all the reasons they chose the program that they went to. And maybe we'll have follow-ups later on when they're awesome, famous alums, Vincent's running menu. And we'll have a nice little article about, you know, what you're doing post MBA as well. So stay in touch, folks. And again, thanks again for everything tonight. This is great.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Thanks
All right. Thanks. Have a great evening. Vincent, get to bed. It's 3 a.m. you said? That's yeah, a little late. Get some sleep. And all of you get back to work. Thanks so much. And we'll see you all soon.
Okay, great. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.